Thank you, Madam Chair. It never gets boring in here. And I'd like to say thank you to the witnesses for being here and for taking the time. Ms. DeVito, thank you for coming here. In your testimony, you said that Americans deserve a government that works for them, a government that makes their lives easier and more secure. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'd like to read through a couple of the grants that DOGE has pulled back, and I'd like to get your take on them. They pulled back a $1.5 million NIH grant to Morehouse College. It was called the Center to Advance Reproductive Justice and Behavioral Health among Black, pregnant/postpartum women and birthing people. Do you think that that makes Americans' lives easier and more secure?
Good day, fellow patriots. Today, we delve into a shocking display of government waste and ideological excess that's bleeding our hard-earned tax dollars. In a recent congressional hearing, a brave representative challenged the absurdity of government grants funded by our taxpayer money.
Secure?
I think that medical and scientific research of all types.
Do you think that that constitutes critical research? According to your testimony, NIH grants are critical research?
I think that government research of all types in the medical.
Including a birthing people?
I think bench research of all types plays a fundamental
What is a
role.
birthing person?
Sir, I am here to talk about the DOGE impact.
Well, I'm
for
asking
working
you about this
families.
grant and you're defending it. So I'm asking you who is birthing people?
I am not familiar with this grant. I take a position that all kinds of government research, medical,
Is a
pharmaceutical,
birthing person a woman? Is that another
biological,
word for female?
That is outside the scope of my expertise.
Seems like erasure language to me. I've been told that that type of vernacular constitutes erasure language. How about another one? How about the conference, Gender Equity in the Mathematical Study of Commutative Algebra? Do you think that that's a valid form of government spending?
I think mathematical research of all types is deserving of government.
What about
investment.
studying, and this is directly from the National Science Foundation's website, women and non-binary mathematicians?
Again, I think all kinds of government investment should be dedicated toward mathematical.
All kinds of government investment.
scientific.
You don't have any kind of limit on what we're spending our money on? Just everything? Is that your testimony?
I am talking about DOGE. You brought up a
So am
grant.
I. This is a grant that DOGE cut.
I am not familiar with this particular grant,
Mm-hmm.
but I think government investment in mathematical,
Okay.
biological.
Let's do another one. This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and pharmaceutical
Teen pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. Do you think that that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay. Let me ask you, we can come back to this later maybe. Do you support abolishing the filibuster still?
I am here to talk about DOGE respectfully.
Right.
and
We could abolish the filibuster and get a lot of DOGE cuts through. And you've written at length on your Twitter about abolishing the filibuster. I'm just curious if you think that we should do that still.
I did a lot of previous work on different topics because I am an economic policy expert, and respectfully, I'm here to talk about DOGE cuts.
Okay, but we could abolish the filibuster and get DOGE cuts. This is totally germane here. Do you think we should?
I am here to talk about DOGE cuts, not strategies for achieving more of them, but the harms that they have produced for working families.
That's a convenient change of opinion. I noticed that most of your comments about the filibuster were during the Biden administration. But we can move on. Let's go back to some more of these grants. Do you think that we should be spending money on, quote, the racialized basis of trait judgments from faces?
I am not at all familiar with that grant.
It's a $500,000 NSF grant.
Okay, I am not familiar with the subject matter or the
But
particular
you're
grant.
defending these.
I am saying that I think the government
You're pretty
has-
adamant against Doge cuts, and I'm asking you if you support the cuts
I think that there
that Doge
is
has found.
economic and medical, public health, communal benefit to
What
the
about
government investing in.
cross-sex steroid therapy and cardiovascular risk in the transgender female?
Again, I think government investment in scientific research is
Great.
important.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it.
The gentleman's time.
Let's break it down. We witnessed a jaw-dropping exchange where a government official defended grants like the $1.5 million NIH funding to Morehouse College for a so-called reproductive justice program for Black pregnant and postpartum women. Hold on a minute. Are we funding racially divisive programs under the guise of health research? Government investment in scientific and medical research is crucial for advancing public health and equity. Equity? What about accountability to taxpayers? This isn't about denying medical research, but questioning the priorities and effectiveness of these grants. Should taxpayer dollars fund programs that seem more about pushing political agendas than improving lives? Here's another gem, a grant to study gender equity in commutative algebra. Seriously? How does this benefit the average American struggling to make ends meet? It's time we prioritize real-world issues over ideological experiments. All types of government investment in scientific research are important. Of course, research is vital, but what's the return on investment for these obscure studies? We need transparency and accountability in how our tax dollars are spent, not endless funding for every pet project. And then there's the funding for LGBTQ+ inclusive teen pregnancy prevention programs for transgender boys. Taxpayer money going towards programs that defy basic biology? This is not about tolerance, it's about fiscal responsibility. Government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance. We should support scientific integrity, not politicized science. These grants illustrate a broader issue, a bloated government bureaucracy more focused on virtue signaling than addressing real issues facing Americans today. Finally, when questioned about filibuster reform to push through these cuts, the witness deflects. It's clear bureaucratic inertia is hindering real progress. It's time to cut through the red tape and prioritize efficiency over political games. Patriots, it's up to us to demand accountability from our elected officials. Let's rally behind sensible policies that respect taxpayers' hard-earned dollars and promote true progress for all Americans. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and together we can reclaim fiscal responsibility.